Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I'll be your instructor for agricultural science. For this class, we're going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. If you don't have the application already installed on your device, I will want you to download the app in order to follow along in this class. ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for various exams like UTME, Post-UTME, WEAC, GCE, KCPE, IJMB, JUPEB, Cowbellpedia, BESE, JSCE, NCEE, NECO, etc. You can download the app from www.examguide.com or Google Play Store. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be updated on new videos. Ready for today's class? Okay, let's get started. Have you ever wondered how the cultivation of crops and the rearing of animals has become so sophisticated? Crops and animals are now maturing faster, having better taste and yield, more resistant to pests and diseases. Over the years, more products are now manufactured from raw materials produced by crops and animals. Many areas of specializations have also evolved. Has this always been the case from the origin of man? In this topic, Meaning and Importance of Agriculture, we will get to know more. So our topic for today is Meaning and Importance of Agriculture. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the history of agriculture, give a concise definition of agriculture, highlight the branches of agriculture. You should also be able to state the importance of agriculture to the individual, the community, and the nation. And lastly, you should be able to list agro-based industries and their raw materials. Let's take a look at the history of agricultural development. How did agriculture start? Now, from the earliest times, man has always been concerned with how he will secure food, and it's also believed that agriculture started about 15,000 years ago. But before this time, the early man lived by hunting wild animals and gathering fruits and vegetables just to feed himself. Gradually, man was able to discover that the seeds that he discarded after eating these fruits germinated and developed into crops around his dwelling place. So by trial and error, he planted these fruits using crude tools like hoes and cutlasses made from sticks and later from stones, which now gave a satisfactory result. And as a result of this, the idea of crop farming or crop planting arose. Now, in this same manner, man was able to control, feed, and also breed some of the young animals that he caught during hunting. And with time, man was also able to observe that the crops that he planted performed better than others. That some crops performed better than others. And those ones that performed better than others, he selected those ones and further propagated those crops that performed better than others. Now, this now formed the basis of crop improvement for our present-day science of agriculture. Man soon discovered that the pieces of land which he had been subjected to continuous cropping or which had been subjected to continuous cropping could no longer support plant growth satisfactorily. As a result of this, he had to move from that land to other lands to continue his farming practices. And this now led to what is called shifting cultivation or whole farming. Now, the first settled farm villages took place in Mesopotamia. That was between 6000 BC and 5000 BC. Now, so many farming communities sprang up all over the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates. And now from Mesopotamia, agriculture spread to Egypt, China, Japan, and Indonesia. Now, it's also interesting to know that agriculture now began in Africa, at the south of the Sahara, and gradually spread to all parts of Africa. Now, after the Industrial Revolution in England, which was in the 18th century, agriculture took a new dimension. At this state, machines were developed to replace old tools, and this now made farming more meaningful, interesting, and rewarding. So this is how the journey of agriculture began. Let's take a look at the meaning of agriculture. Agriculture is a term derived from two Latin words. The first word we have here is ager, which means field, and cultura, which means cultivation. So literally, agriculture means field cultivation. Defining agriculture, we will now say that agriculture is defined as the art and science of raising crops and animals for the benefit of man. But in a broader sense, agriculture involves more than just the raising of crops and animals. It involves cultivation of crops, raising and breeding of livestock, processing and storage of agricultural produce, distribution and marketing of agricultural products. Let's take a look at the branches of agriculture. The first branch we have here is called animal science. And animal science, you can also refer to it as animal husbandry or animal production. Now, what is animal science? This deals with the selection, breeding, feeding, and management of livestock. Now, when we talk about animals, we do not only refer to domestic animals, we also have animals that are called wild animals. So when the field of study is about wild animals, collectively, rather than just the domestic animals, we will now refer to it as wildlife science. Let's take a look at the contribution of animal science to agricultural development. So whenever we talk about the branch, we'll look at the contribution of that particular branch to agricultural development. Now, animal science ensures efficient and effective management of farm animals. So animals are managed effectively. It helps animals to be managed effectively. It also helps to promote the development of new breeds of animals. It also helps to ensure meat, milk, egg, and other animal products. This aspect of agriculture also ensures better feeds for the growth and productivity of our farm animals. Another branch of agriculture is called soil science. Now, what does soil science entail? It's the scientific study and practice of managing, protecting, and improving the fertility of soils for the overall benefit of agriculture. Now, soil science, when it's combined with crop science, which is another aspect, I'm yet to get to what crop science entails, which has to do with crop production. But when soil science and crop science are combined, another field of study is developed or evolved, which is called agronomy. So the combination of soil science and crop science gives us another field which is called agronomy. Now, what's the contribution of soil science to agricultural development? It helps in the maintenance of soil fertility, because without fertility, your crops will not thrive well. So soil science deals with the maintenance of soil fertility. It also helps in better soil classification and mapping. It also helps in erosion control, which is another important aspect in agricultural production. So soil science helps in erosion control methods. Also aids moisture conservation. Also aids tillage operations, which are some of the activities you perform in the soil before you plant your crops. So soil science also aids tillage operations of the soil, and it also helps us to know the appropriate fertilizers for the different types of soils that we have. Let's look at another branch of agriculture. This is called horticulture. Now, what is horticulture? Horticulture is the scientific study and practice of growing fruits, Now, when we talk about growing fruits, technically it's called pomology. It also involves the growing of vegetables, which is called olericulture, and flowers, which is called floriculture. So that is what horticulture is about. And what is the contribution of horticulture to agricultural development? It helps to beautify our environment. So when you take a look around, flowers, you see flowers and ornamental plants growing at specific places. So you can see that horticulture helps to beautify our environment. It also acts as a recreational area, helps to reduce pollution by getting rid of polluted air, some gases that are released into the atmosphere. Horticulture helps to reduce pollution. It also helps to provide fresh air, because some of these flowers also even give out some nice fragrance into the atmosphere. So it helps to provide fresh air. It also provides employment. There's certain people who are involved in the selling, production, or growing of flowers and selling of those flowers. They're actually called florists. Another branch of agriculture is called fishery. Now, what is fishery? This is the scientific study and rearing of fishes, which help to provide food, oil, and other useful materials, and it can also be done for pleasure. But there are other aquatic animals that one can also get involved or get to produce, which includes shrimps, prawns, oysters, frogs, toads, water plants, and some other water animals. When one gets into studying and rearing of these other aquatic animals, it is now called aquaculture, not just fishery. So you see that aquaculture is a broader term as compared to fishery. So let's look at the contribution of fishery to agricultural development. One, it ensures better ways of fish management, so we're able to manage fish production properly. It also promotes the production of fish, helps to promote better fishing practices, also helps to promote better fish processing, which makes it more palatable for human consumption. Then it also ensures the provision of fish meal. It's the fish meal which is also used in animal feed production. So fishery helps to ensure the provision of fish meal. Another branch of agriculture is called forestry and wildlife conservation. Now, what does forestry and wildlife conservation entail? It's a science and practice of managing trees and other natural resources in the forest. Now, what's its contribution to agricultural development? It helps to promote the conservation of forest products. It also ensures the creation of a microclimate, that's climate with a specific location. It helps to ensure the creation of microclimate. It also is a source of medicinal products. We can get a lot of products from the forest that could help the medical aspect or the medical industry. It also ensures the maintenance of soil fertility, because as the leaves are shed from some of these forest trees, the deciduous trees, these leaves decay, and as they decay, they add nutrients back to the soil. So forestry helps to maintain soil fertility. It also ensures proper management of forest and forest resources to prevent illegal felling of trees, and also poaching of wild animals to prevent extinction. And it also helps to ensure the conservation of wild animals, especially when you hear the word poaching, that has to do with the illegal killing of animals. So this helps to prevent certain animals from getting extinct. So these are the areas covered by forestry and wildlife conservation. We also have agricultural engineering as another branch of agriculture, and this deals with the development, application, and maintenance of machines. So agriculture involves machines that help to enhance production of crops. Even animals too. In animal production, some technology has been developed now that certain machines can also be used in the production of animals when rearing your animals. So it helps or deals with the development, application, and maintenance of machines, irrigation, and other facilities for water control, agricultural buildings and structures, crop processing equipment, agricultural waste management facilities. So all of these, which are now used in agriculture, all of these are dealt with this aspect or this branch of agriculture called agricultural engineering. You know, a lot of waste too are also produced from farms, animals. So agricultural engineering helps with developing proper waste management facilities. Now, what's its contribution? It ensures the development of processing equipment, storage equipment, farm tools, and implements. All of these are very important when it comes to agricultural production. Processing of our farm produce. Some of our farm produce need to be stored. Farm tools and implements enhance the agricultural production. So the agricultural engineering helps in the development of these equipments that are used on the farm. It also promotes the mechanization of farm operations. Now, this has to do with the application of machines to certain farm operations. So agricultural engineering helps to promote such. It also ensures the maintenance of these farm tools and implements, because these tools they are subject to wear and tear, and so they need some maintenance. So agricultural engineering covers or ensures that our farm tools and implements are maintained. It also ensures the operation of irrigation and drainage, especially when it has to do with climate changes. There are certain seasons where the rain ceases and crop production still needs to continue to help meet up with the demands for food, and certain crops need to be irrigated in order to enhance the production of food. So agricultural engineering helps or enhances the operation of irrigation and drainage. Another branch of agriculture is called agricultural extension and education. Now, what does agricultural extension and education mean? This has to do with informal or out-of-school voluntary agricultural education. Informal, it's an informal, not within the classroom. Out of school, that means not within the school. Voluntary agricultural education, hereby involving the spread or dissemination of information on recent improved development in agriculture from researchers to the farmers. You know, agriculture is science, it's evolving, it's becoming more sophisticated, as I told you earlier on. And some of these findings that have been discovered need to get to the farmers. And that is what agricultural education and extension is all about. The new improved developments are now taken from the research institute to the farmers. That's what this area covers. Now let's look at its contribution to agricultural development. It helps to promote the training of farmers, ensures the dissemination of agricultural information and better farming methods to the farmers. It also ensures the provision of support services, because these farmers need support, and so agricultural education and extension is the means by which this can be achieved. It also helps to link farmers to researchers. We have agricultural economics as another branch of agriculture. And what is agricultural economics? This has to do with the scientific study of the allocation, distribution, and the utilization of resources used and produced through agriculture. Agriculture, in the course of production, you make use of some resources, some inputs, and when these these factors of production are harnessed, output is gotten. So agriculture ensures the study of the allocation, distribution, that's agricultural economics, ensures the study of allocation, distribution, and utilization of resources used and produced through agriculture. Now, what is its contribution to agricultural development? Agricultural economics promotes agricultural marketing. Marketing has to do with the activities carried out from the production or from the producer, which is the farmer, to the consumer. So it helps to promote agricultural marketing. It also exposes farmers to sources of farm finance. Without finance, farming will not be successful. So agricultural economics exposes the farmers to sources, various ways by which the farmer, or means by which a farmer can get finance to carry out his farming practices. It also teaches cooperative farming, and it's farmers coming together to get involved in farming as a group, not as a single farmer, but as a group. Then it also promotes good farm accounting. This has to do with documentation of all the expenses carried out on the farm, and it also helps to provide adequate farm planning and budgeting. Agric is business. You need to plan properly. You need to budget in order to be successful in carrying out your farming business. So agricultural economics covers this area. So these are the contributions of agricultural economics to agricultural development. And lastly, it also ensures the management of agricultural resources. We have veterinary medicine as another branch of agriculture. And what does this cover, or what is veterinary medicine about? It has to do with the study of diseases of livestock and pets. So livestock, they are living things and they do fall sick. So the veterinary medicine, or the veterinary medical doctor covers, or this area covers the study of diseases of livestock and pets. What's its contribution to agricultural development? It ensures better health management for our farm animals. Without proper health management, productivity of our farm animals will be low. So the veterinary medicine ensures that there's better health management for our farm animals. It also helps to control pests and parasites of our farm animals too. It also helps to control diseases of our farm animals. Ensures the production of vaccines, which are also used to help control diseases or to help prevent diseases. They're also involved in meat inspection. After animals are slaughtered, the products need to be inspected to be sure that they are good for human consumption, to also prevent the transfer of diseases from these animals to humans, which are called zoonotic diseases. So veterinary medicine covers this aspect by ensuring that there's better meat inspection after slaughtering. And it also helps to provide good health management, as I stated earlier, for our farm animals. Another branch of agriculture here is called crop science. Now, what is crop science? This has to do with the scientific study and practice of developing, cultivating, harvesting, and storing of our agricultural crops. Now, there are certain other plants that are not regarded as agricultural crops. So when we study those other plants, which are not eaten by human beings or animals, it's no longer referred to as crop science. We now call it plant science. Let's look at some aspects of crop science. We have agronomy. And what is agronomy? This has to do with the study of crop production and soil management. We also have what is called crop pathology. This has to do with the study of crop diseases. We also have what is called entomology, which is another aspect of crop science, and this has to do with the study of insect pests of crops. Now let's look at the contribution of crop science to agricultural development. Crop science helps in the effective management of our crops. Then it also helps to develop better planting materials, correct crop spacing, optimum plant population. All of these are very important or necessary in crop production. It also ensures better productivity of our crops and also the development of improved crops. And in this aspect, we're looking at issues that concern disease resistance, which is very important. So it ensures the development of improved crops. Okay, let's take a look at the importance of agriculture. And in this aspect, we're going to look at the importance of agriculture to the individual or the farmer, to the community, and to the nation. So these are the three aspects we're going to look at the importance of agriculture. Now, starting with the farmer or the individual, agriculture is important in the sense that it helps to provide food for man. Without agriculture, we will not be able to get the food that we eat. So agriculture is very important in that aspect. It also helps to provide materials for shelter. Now, when we talk about shelter, we're talking about human habitation to prevent man from being exposed to harsh weather conditions. So agriculture helps to provide materials for shelter. For example, timber, which is used to construct some structures or some buildings where agricultural production can take place or animals can be reared. Agriculture also helps to provide materials for clothing, things like shirts that are made of cotton, or our belts and bags that are made of leather. So agriculture is a means by which these materials can be gotten for clothing. Through the skin, hides and skin, through certain crops like cotton, which can be processed to help us get materials that can be used for clothing. We also have wool, which is gotten from sheep, that can also be used or processed to help us get materials that can be used for clothing. Agriculture can also help to provide income for the farmer. The products which are gotten from our farms, which could be either crops or animals, can be sold, and this is a means by which the farmer can generate some income for himself and his family. Now let's take a look at the importance of agriculture to the community. How is agriculture important to the community? Now, we have what is called commercial agriculture, which has to do with production of either crops or animals on a very large scale, which entails the employment of human labor in order to achieve that. And once there's human labor involved on a large level, these people need certain amenities to help them live comfortably in that particular location. And as a result of that, this can lead to the development of towns or the locations of such people. So that's another importance of agriculture to the community. And also as a means of tourist attraction or recreational facilities. How does agriculture help, or how is agriculture important in this aspect? When we talk about forest or wildlife, some people are attracted, want to go and take a look or view some of this wildlife. So that's a means by which agriculture can also serve as an importance to the community. Now, importance of agriculture to the nation is another aspect we're going to look at now. How is agriculture important to the nation? It helps to create employment, because a lot of people are involved in agriculture, and there are so many processes or stages involved in agriculture. So a lot of people need to be employed in order to get involved in crop production or animal production on a large scale. So agriculture helps to create employment for the working population. Agriculture can also be a means of generating foreign exchange for the nation, because when crops or cash crops are exported to other countries or other nations, foreign exchange can be earned as a result of that. So agriculture helps to provide foreign exchange through the export of its products. Agriculture also helps to provide some raw materials for some industries. We have what is called agro-based industries. Now, these are industries that depend on agriculture for their raw materials. An example of an agro-based industry is like the textile industry, which depends on, like cotton, which can be used to produce textiles. We also have the rubber industry, which depends on latex in order to produce rubber, and some other industries too. We have the sugar industry too, which depends on sugar cane, which helps to produce sugar. So you can see that some of these raw materials are gotten from agricultural production and can be used by these industries called agro-based industries. Another importance of agriculture to the nation is the generation of revenue from the export of agricultural products. And how is this revenue generated? It's generated through what we call export duties and tax. In the course of exporting agricultural produce to other nations, the farmer or the exporter has to pay what is called export duties to the government. So that's another means by which the government can generate revenue. And that is another importance of agriculture to the nation. Let's take a look at agro-based industries and their raw materials. Now, what are agro-based industries? These are industries that depend on agriculture for their raw materials in order to make some finished goods. The first we have there is what is called oil mill or oil press industry. And what is the raw material that it makes use of? We have what is called oil seeds. And what are oil seeds? Examples of crops that are oil seeds are groundnut, cotton, coconut, etc. So the oil mill or oil press industry makes use of the oil seeds, which are the raw materials used. Then we also have the soap industry. And what is the raw material used by the soap industry? Still oil seeds too, which are the examples of the crops I just mentioned earlier, like groundnut and sunflower. These are examples of some oil seeds that can be used by this soap industry. We have the textile or ginnery, which is another agro-based industry that makes use of cotton as its raw material. We have the paper industry, which makes use of pulpwood as its raw material. We have the breweries industry, which makes use of cereals as its raw material. We have the sugar industry, as I mentioned earlier, which makes use of sugarcane as its raw material. We also have the starch industry, which makes use of cassava and maize as its raw material. We also have the beverage industry, which makes use of cocoa, tea, coffee as its raw material. And we also finally have the plywood or sawmill industry, which makes use of wood as its raw material. So, but before we conclude, let's just have a recap of what we learned so far. We said in this lesson, we learned that agriculture is a term derived from two Latin words, which is ager, meaning field, and cultura, meaning cultivation. So literally, agriculture means field cultivation. And we also defined agriculture as the art and science of raising crops and animals for the benefit of man. And in a broader sense, I said that agriculture does not just involve the raising of crops and animals, it also involves, it's more than just the cultivation of crops and raising of animals, it also involves the breeding of livestock, processing and storage of agricultural produce, distribution, and the marketing of agricultural products. Okay, now let's take a look at some questions based on what we've learned so far using our exam guide. Okay, let's take a look at this question, and the question goes like this. It says, the branch of crop science which deals with the study of insect pests is A. Entomology, B. Pathology, C. Agronomy, and D. Zoology. The answer here is entomology, so the answer is A. This question states that the basic importance of agriculture to a forester, when you hear forester, you're talking about forestry. The basic importance of agriculture to a forester is A, to obtain honey, B, to acquire labor, C, to procure timber, and D, to obtain food. The answer here is to procure timber. This question states that which of the following pairs of raw materials is used in the canning industry? A, we have hides and skin. B, we have meat and fish. C, pulpwood and cocoa. And D, we have cotton and tea. So the correct answer here is meat and fish. I believe you've seen some meat products that have been canned, like for example corned beef and fish, for example. Sardine has been canned, so that's the ideal answer. The answer is meat and fish. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. You can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and practice mode. It also has other features that makes learning fun. It is a must-have for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share the videos to people that will benefit from it. See you in the next class.